We have an exciting and fun show today. Today's guest has been what has been said elbow deep in traditional American banjo and fiddle music since the age of 5. There are over a dozen albums available on their website. I'm excited to hear their music today. Welcome to Celebrate Michigan, the show produced on the campus of Madonna University. I'm Karen Sanborn. Today's guest will be talking about and sharing their love of the fiddle and the banjo. Welcome Aaron Jonah Lewis to the show. Welcome.
Hi, thanks. It's great to be here.
Well, I'm so curious. This is going to be so much fun. What got you started and what was the first instrument that you chose to play?
When I was 3 years old, my grandfather came to visit and he brought a full-size viola with him. And it was obviously too big for me to play. It was about the size of my whole body. But I kept pulling it out and opening the case and touching it and saying, I want to play it, I want to play it. So finally, as the story goes, when I was old enough to stand still, I got started with violin lessons.
Wow. So you started with the fiddle, violin, basically. How many instruments do you play besides the violin or the fiddle and the banjo?
Yeah, fiddle, banjo, and I also play guitar and mandolin. And I started playing trumpet a couple years ago just to do something different and challenging because strings are kind of comfortable for me at this point. And anytime someone comes to my house, they always say, you have a lot of banjos. Because how many instruments? I have 6 or 7 banjos. They are each set up differently for different styles of music. And then I have a few different violins. You know, this is like my fiddle violin that I play for square dances. I also have a violin I use for classical gigs. I play jazz on the violin as well. So different instruments for different purposes.
So they're not just decor, they're functional.
Correct.
Please tell our audience at home a little bit more about your family. Did you come from a musical family? I mean, obviously, you were introduced to the viola very, very young.
Yeah, my parents have a great love of music. They both played music or sang, when they were younger. My dad was, sort of studied Jewish liturgical music. He was not a professional cantor, but sort of a lay cantor. Mm-hmm. My mom was, in her high school orchestra, and it was encouraged for me and my siblings to learn instruments as well. So if we showed the slightest interest, we were very encouraged.
Then did you play together at home?
A little bit. Not so much, through the, official channels because we all took lessons from separate teachers. But when I started teaching myself guitar around the age of 11 or 12, then we were singing Beatles songs together and singing pop songs off the radio, like whatever we got our hands on, we would sing together, yeah.
Oh, very fun. That sounds like a lot of fun. Do you think that the banjo is making a comeback or has become more popular recently?
I absolutely do think the banjo is making a comeback. The banjo is a lot more prevalent in pop culture now than it has been in the past few decades. There are a lot of well-known musicians and celebrities who are kind of appearing with banjos, and it's kind of showing up more in country music and in rock music and in all kinds of popular music. And there are, many different streams of banjo consciousness to tune into. And I like to think that even at a very basic level for someone who's not paying any attention to anything, there may be becoming a little more aware of the banjo. I mean, I grew up in Detroit where I didn't know anything about the banjo. I heard it on the radio, but I never saw one until I was, 18 years old, left home and, visited Virginia.
Right, okay. So when did you first play publicly? And could you maybe play us out to a commercial? Could you play the banjo out?
Absolutely, I'd love to. Is it time to do that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it. I can't wait.
I'd like to play a piece for you that might be familiar to our audience. This is one of the most famous pieces of ragtime music ever written by, many would say, the greatest ragtime composer, Scott Joplin. This piece sold 1 million copies in 1899.
Wow.
It's called the Maple Leaf Rag.
life's this hard, it's no wonder 7,000 students drop out every school day. Visit boostup.org and help kids in your community stay in school.
I present to you Algebra 2, Foreign Languages, and finally, Biology. Who among you will step up to their challenge?
Me.
Yeah, I'll do it. Me too. Sign me up.
Take on the tough classes now. You need them to prepare for college.
There's a lot of fear in coming back to school. I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but one of the teachers was Miss Araceli. She gave me direction. Every single time I had a question, she'll put down whatever she's doing and she'll sit there with you until you get it. 50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Karen Sanborn. Joining me today is musician Aaron Jonah Lewis. Aaron Jonah, before we went to break, we started to talk about how you got started playing music so young. Can you continue to tell us more about when you first started and where your first gig was?
Yeah, I started playing when I was almost 5 years old, and I was taking lessons with Robert Oppelt, who is a wonderful teacher, and he was from Kentucky, and he introduced me to fiddle tunes. And it wasn't until I was a young adult on my own that I met someone from Virginia and learned about bluegrass music. Now, as a kid, I played, Suzuki repertoire and classical music in orchestras and recitals with the studio, but I didn't really play proper gigs until, I was a little older. And I was playing in a bluegrass band in Virginia.
Oh my gosh, how fun. I love it. Do you teach privately? Because you took lessons. Do you teach now?
I do teach private lessons, and I'm also starting a project called Banjo Dojo, which is a music space for people of all abilities and interest levels to come and try stuff out, learn tunes, jam together, and I'm just getting that started, and I have more information on my website about that.
Where is this?
That for now, it's out of my house in Detroit.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, great, we'll have to check that out. So when you teach, what instruments do you teach? Because there's so many that you know how to play.
I teach all the strings that I know. I teach banjo, fiddle, mandolin, guitar, and Banjo Dojo is also a space for learning about singing, flat-foot dancing, and square dance calling.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
I had a square dance caller at my wedding. Then what ages? Are there certain ages or different levels that
All
you
ages.
teach? All ages.
Although if they're minors, I would encourage a parent to be present.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet this is so much fun when you get together with other musicians.
I like to say you're never too old or too young to get started or to continue learning.
Right, right. Well, I've heard a lot about how music can help students. How does music help young people and adults? What do you think music is all about?
I think there's a popular sort of argument in favor of learning music that has to do with brain plasticity, keeping your brain young. I think that's a very valid reason to pursue music. Aside from the sort of cold medical kind of analysis, I think it's also really fun to learn things, to engage, to practice skills that you can share with other people. Whether you want to use music to connect with other people in a jam setting or, to sing along with others or to just keep it to yourself and practice on your own, maybe write your own songs. it's great to have an outlet for self-expression and connection with other people.
And therapy.
Exactly.
I mean, it can be therapeutic.
I often talk about banjo therapy. It's gotten me through some really hard times, to be honest.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. So can you tell me a little bit more about some of the most fun shows you've done?
The absolute most fun that can be conceived of that I have experienced is a square dance, to be honest. There's all kinds of shows that I do, you know, large shows, small shows, house shows. I played at the Masonic Temple last week, which is the largest Masonic temple in the world. I recently played at the New England Conservatory in Boston, which was a huge honor.
Wow.
But really my favorite is where it all comes together is at a square dance, because, you know, it's not just about being good at music. It's about giving something and getting this feedback loop going where the energy of the dancers is feeding into the band and the band's keeping the dancers going, and there's the caller and people are mixing and mingling. Everyone's holding hands, jumping up and down and smiling at each other, meeting new people.
Well, get ready.
Is
Get
it time?
ready. Yes, time to.
All right, I'll play a square dance tune for
yeah.
you. Now, earlier you picked Liberty out of my bag of tunes, and I just want to show the audience real quick. You know, I carry this around sometimes. There's about 300 of these little chips in here. Each one's got the name of a tune. Karen picked out Liberty, so I'm going to honor that and play Liberty. This is a great tune.
Learning how to kickflip 6 stairs takes determination. So will getting into college. I've got what it takes. So do you.
What to expect when you're expecting
Like here.
a teenager.
Today, I'm going to show you how to teen-proof your home. First step, hide the car keys. Preferably somewhere they would never look. Challenges will come up. Be ready for them. Hi, honey.
I'm ready for the... Mom, You don't use mannequins in the mannequin challenge.
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Sounds like you could use some Van Gogurt. It's fortified with arts-rich nutrients to improve your math and reading skills. Catch!
Van Gogurt, thanks. So what's the deal with your ear?
Always with the ear, huh?
Feed your kids the arts. For 10 simple ways to learn how, visit AmericansForTheArts.org.
I want to see the world.
When you pick up a book,
I used to read every night to all the younger kids.
And let your imagination break free, you won't believe how much fun it can be.
Let down your
Experience a world of adventure, excitement, and endless possibilities. Get tangled up in a good book. Explore new worlds. Read. Visit read.gov today.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Karen Sanborn, and I am joined by Aaron Jonah Lewis, who has been entertaining us throughout the show. So, you've told us how you started and some of the teaching that you do. Can you tell us what's up next?
What's up next is I'm taking a little break this winter. But yeah, I'm working on a project called Detroit Folk School. That's going to be an effort to empower people and offer spaces for connection and self-expression, like I was talking through teaching, but also connecting other existing organizations that are doing this kind of work already, and just creating space for people to connect with each other and, you know, learn some of these older skills, offer some alternatives to consumer culture and mainstream media.
Oh man, that's so interesting. So people will come and they'll learn to play, or they'll share their skills with somebody else.
Yeah, and the long-term vision is to include crafts and food traditions as well, basically to, you know, create networks of support for people.
And learning about different cultures and different foods and music, how music kind of joins us all.
Exactly.
Together.
Food, music, and dancing. That's what life is all about. And Detroit is incredibly rich with different cultures. And I've always felt like it's a shame that we don't get to connect in more different ways.
Right, right. Well, we can connect with you on your website.
That's
and
right.
there are tons of albums or CDs that you have on your website. Tell our viewers some of the things that stand out about these albums.
These albums are unique. So, you know, a lot of this stuff I do, you could call it old-time music, and that's kind of a small niche kind of thing. It's the music that predates bluegrass. It's sort of the acoustic, folk, and early country kind of music, string band music from all around the Western Hemisphere. And within that small genre, the stuff I've done is kind of unique as well. There's a lot of freedom of experimentation, expression going on. And my more recent work with the banjo is, it represents a style of music that was the most popular kind of music in the English-speaking world on both sides of the Atlantic about 100 years ago. And now it's been almost totally forgotten. There's not a lot of people playing this music or recording it at all. And I think a lot of it has to do with that it was popular before recording technology was really available. So
Makes
people
sense.
think of early music, they think of jazz, which is wonderful. I love to play jazz as well. I've recorded a bunch of jazz. But the stuff I'm really kind of obsessed with these days is the stuff that's going back before recording technology, when people were buying sheet music, like the Maple Leaf Rag.
Yes, fascinating. That really is. What is your favorite?
My favorite
tune, your favorite
tune is the one I'm playing.
Oh.
Whichever one that might be. There's got to be thousands that I know how to play.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you tour, right?
Yes, I've done a fair bit of touring. I toured in Europe for a couple months this year, and I was on the West Coast for a while. And then I toured a bit around Michigan and around the Midwest. Yeah, I've toured as far as the Yukon and India and Eastern Europe and Finland.
Wow.
It's a lot of fun, and it's also a lot of work. It's a great thing.
But you're meeting so many people.
Yeah, and I'm really aiming to stay closer to home this year because, you know, going to Europe was a lot of fun, but I also felt like I missed being at home, and I really want to work more towards building community and meaningful connections where I live.
Okay, that makes sense. So if somebody was interested in going to a live show, how might they find out more about if there's something close to their area or?
Yeah, so on my website, aaronjonalewis.com, go to the contact tab, and then there's a little email list you can put your email into, and I send out a newsletter every month or two with updates about what I'm working on, my new recording projects, new videos. There'll probably be some iPhone footage from this session that I might post to that newsletter, as well as my upcoming gigs. I also talk about books I'm reading and other things. You know, sometimes I share a recipe.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So the time is flying by today,
Yeah.
and I wish we could be here longer. But I'm going to have you play again, and so that our viewers at home can enjoy. Thank you for entertaining us today, and thank you for helping us to celebrate everything and everyone in the Mitten State. We will see you next time. Please.
All right, this one's off my new album, Dos Senoritas. It's by a British banjo composer named Emil Grimshaw, and it's called The Banshee.